For decades, Apple has been synonymous with cutting-edge technology. But is their reign finally coming to an end? This video dives deep into Apple's struggles with AI and why they might need to rely on their biggest competitor, Google, to survive in the age of artificial intelligence. This is AI Capitalist, where I give business leaders the AI tools they need to succeed. AI tools that Apple apparently lacks. Apple has been poster child for startup success. It grew from a couple of teenagers tinkering with electronics in their garage to the largest company in the world in about 35 years. No one does that, but Apple did. And they did it by constantly living on the bleeding edge of technology. But now Apple is the biggest whale in the ocean, the biggest fruit on the plate. They've been the largest company in the world for most of the last 15 years. Their iPhone dominates the cell phone market. Apple is the big boy, and they're having big boy problems. They invested so much in China in manufacturing there, and they stayed too long after China's collapse started. Now that China is turning into a post-industrial, anti-Western Stalinist dictatorship, they're seeing production problems there. There are allegations of woke neo-racism swirling around Apple facilities, and Siri just sucks. Even the government wants to take a bite out of the apple. In what looks to me like a sort of election year stunt, the Apple computer company was just sued by the Justice Department over antitrust allegations. Missing what should be obvious trends is a warning that Apple's decision-making process is getting stymied by corporate bureaucracy and by inertia. And now it's coming out that Apple completely missed the large language model explosion. At recent events, they seemed to hint that they were quietly working on their own large language model, that they would then roll out once they had something better than anyone else. That strategy is sort of like Batman hiding in the Batcave, working on the Batmobile, and just patiently waiting for just the right moment to blast out and catch the joke. Apple just recently announced that they're actually going to be releasing a smaller large language model called Realm. It's designed to turn Siri from a useless piece of crapware installed on your iPad or iPhone into a helpful artificial intelligence assistant. The idea is to use apps that are open in your phone and on your screen as context for a large language model, so that when you're questioning it, it's looking at what you're doing and trying to get a more accurate picture of an answer for you. They even released some research indicating that Realm outperforms ChatGPT 4. And as for me, I'll believe it once I see it, once I can test it. But it sounds a little bit like when the cigarette industry releases another study saying that smoking is actually beneficial to your health. Let's hear it from a third party. Let's see it actually get tested. Well, according to Bloomberg, though, Apple is now talking to Google about possibly running some of Apple's AI software on Google's servers and using their Gemini AI platform. And apparently Apple was also negotiating with OpenAI to maybe use ChatGPT for the same purpose. Apple still seems to think it can get smaller AI models to work using the chip built into your iPhone for smaller tasks like auto summary. But for the larger AI-heavy jobs like image generation, Apple is having a lot of trouble. These are tasks that have to be performed on the cloud. They require server farms worth of computing power. So why is Apple so far behind? This partly has to do with Apple's closed sourcing attitude. Ironically, it's also Apple's desire to respect their customers by not collecting reams and reams of data. That now means that their developers don't have as much information to work with in building their own AI models. Apple has no data and is more or less locked out of the market. On the other hand, users are already getting used to having artificial intelligence generate robots for tasks in natural language. So if we take a look at Apple's financial ratios, we can see some of the problems that they're facing. Now, I say problems, relatively. Apple is hugely profitable. Observing the financial ratios based on their 2023 financial reporting, we can see that the return on equity and the return on assets are much better than industry norms. If you invested in Apple, you were repaid well for the money you put into them. But on the dark side, they're also highly leveraged. They have a debt-to-equity ratio of 179%. A more industry standard number for a tech giant is closer to 60%. So they're more than double that. What this means is that they're stretched a little bit thin. And buying up the tech talent and the server space and really server farms to make a functional large language model that runs on their own platform may be just a little bit more than their budget. So now we're in this weird place where what used to be a bleeding edge tech innovator, Apple, is just incapable of doing things that Google Pixel models and eventually Samsung and other Android models can already do. If Apple doesn't find a way to deploy this technology, the large language model technology, their smartphones are going to fall behind and their market share is going to start to shrink and shrink as their iPhones deliver less and less comparative value. And if you feel that you're getting value out of today's exploration of Apple's woes, I would urge you to hit the like button. Hitting like lets me know that I'm making content that you want, and it helps spread this content and this value to others. I genuinely appreciate your support. Let's make this channel as big as Apple. This really gets to the core of the problem Apple is facing. Their value proposition has changed. Apple popularized the mouse keyboard setup that we're all used to now. They came up with the iPhone. And this all changed when Apple's maverick CEO and founder, Steve Jobs, may God rest his soul, died. That same year, 2011, that Steve Jobs' soul left his body, Apple became the largest company by market capitalization in the world. These two events hugely changed Apple. Apple used to be the little guy to IBM, and later Microsoft's huge giant. They had to compete by being the one that everyone else copied. Why do people buy Apple products? Because they knew they were getting the best tech in the world, and they would pay a premium for it. I own an iPhone. I have some AirPods that I recently got, and I recently got a Mac. So why did I buy all these things? I haven't been a PC guy all my life. So I know I can get everything they offer cheaper at a PC. But in my experience, Apple's products just plain work. My Samsung phone used to crash, freeze, and restart. My iPhone has never done that once. When I use an Android and get Bluetooth headphones, I have to go into the settings, search for new devices, try to figure out if my BT-X1234 is actually my headphones or is it something else. And then I have to set up pairing, I have to enter some pairing codes, and then I have to just hope it stays paired next time I open the phone. When I bought my AirPods, a little window opened on my iPhone asking me if I wanted to connect. I said yes, and done. I'm actually recording this video on my iPhone. And I know that I can just use AirDrop to transfer the whole file to my AirBook for editing. I can sit outside and edit the video on my AirBook knowing that it won't get the jitters or crash. Everything is smooth. Everything just works. Apple is a victim of its own success, although I don't know if victim is the right word. It's transformed from Tesla into Toyota. Part of outsourcing their AI is embracing the reality that Apple can't be the market leader and the market disruptor at the same time. We should all have such problems.